Call to order, City of Forest Park Council meeting number 1311, April 2nd, 2018. Let us stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Burns, Collins, Herbie,
Here.
Holt,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Nuss.
Here.
Mr. Burns just came in, so he's present. Next item on the agenda is item number... Oh, you need a motion to excuse.
I would move to excuse Councilwoman Collins.
Second.
Moved and second that we excuse Councilwoman. She just came in, so we're all here. Item number 2 is the minutes. You all should have gotten copies of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move to item number 3, presentation. Tonight we have a proclamation, Autism Awareness Month. Is there anyone here for that? The clerk will make sure that they get this proclamation. Was it supposed to be somebody here for this, Sally?
No.
Okay. For the record, proclamation, whereas autism, the fastest growing developmental disease in the United States, affecting more than 3 million people, is an urgent public health crisis that demands a national response. And whereas, in recognition of the growing need of the worldwide autistic community and to raise awareness about autism disorder and the need to provide services to individuals and families who are affected, in the United Nations has sanctioned April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day. And whereas Autism Speaks, an organization dedicated to funding research on autism and advocating for the needs of individuals with autism and their families, promote the awareness of autism worldwide, and whereas the City of Forest Park of Hamilton County is honored to take part in the annual observation of Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day, in the hope that it will lead to a better understanding of this disorder. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Charles H. Johnson, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Forest Park, and urge all residents to help fight this disorder by increasing awareness and understanding of the importance of autism research, advocacy, and family services in the City of Forest Park and the surrounding areas. The next item on the agenda is item number 4, communication from the public. This is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comment or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the council? Would you come forward? There should be a sheet there if you would sign in and tell us who you are and where you live, and then state your comments or questions. Should be on top. I'll probably lay that.
Okay.
You have a pen here?
Yes. Well, my name is Michael Means. I just moved here a few months ago on 11450 Falkstone Drive. I had a concern. Since I've been over there, I had an issue with there's a residence that's over there about a bad dog issue. I'm sure you guys probably heard of. His name is Wade Hill. The cops has been there plenty of times. Well, our first experience is that I came out early in the morning before it was daylight, and this pit bull came at and attacked me. Now, I got to the garage about to hit him with a stick, but he kind of backed off. Me and Wade had some words, of course. I tried to explain to him nicely that he need to, keep his dog on a leash, a lead, keep him in his yard, but he seems to feel like the dog is like humans. It's like rabbits. We can't keep them in their yard and all of this. And I bred, may not heard them, but I bred Connie Corsos for 15 years in Liberty Township. That's where I'm from. And you just can't do that. You know, they're loaded weapons. You know, I know they are. You know, they can be raised correctly, but at the same time, if you let them roam like that and they're not fixed, something's going to happen. Now, the police came up there a few times because I called. They would threaten him. All he do is argue with them. They don't do anything. You know, they pull their weapons out, telling Wade to take his dog. The dog attacked the police, come at the police cars, and they still don't do anything. They saying they have him in court. I didn't check until about maybe 2 weeks ago when I came back home and I had my grandkids. And I told Wade, I have grandkids I may bring over. And I had both of them with me, and the dog, I know I was thrown off. The dog came in attack mode. So I put the book bag between me and the dog and my grandkids and got them into the house. Then I called the police and told them, I'm about to shoot the dog. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. They're on my property. I got to carry concealed, you know. I don't want to do it. And I kept telling them that for the past month and a half to the police officers. And I said, I don't. Would you guys do something about it? But they keep telling me, hey, if he's on your property and that dog growling at you, shoot the dog. You know, and I'm like, I don't want to have to shoot the dog. But he's saying you're going to have to end up shooting the dog. Now, they did take Wade away. He went down to the Justice Center for about a week and a half, maybe. And he just got home Friday. They had like a $50,000 bond on him and then $25,000. Then they had failure to contain your dog like 3 times on. I looked it up. And he's home. He's standing out there again. The dogs are running the street again. And I'm going to have my grandkids over, and I'm fearing I don't want to have to do this, you know, and I'm trying to figure out what is it that you guys can do to get him to stop, because I know I have grown kids, and I know if my kids would run the street as juveniles, terrorize the neighborhood, go in other people's yard, or like they're going to attack, they're going to be quick to take them kids. You know, if the parents is not going to deal with it, they're going to take the kids to juvenile, deal with them at 2020 or Hillcrest or whatever it may be. But it seemed like nobody would take the dogs away. Instead, it's going to bite somebody, and then I'm like, I'm going to be upset with the police department. I'm going to be upset with Forest Park. I'm going to be upset with the SPCA because nobody is going to take care of these dogs. Instead, they're telling me, every officer came up there and said to me, shoot the dog. And I'm like, well, you just seen the dog come at you at your car, and you pulling your gun out, and you won't take the dog away. So I'm like, why have to be me, the residents, got to pull his gun out? Yeah, the neighbors seen me pull my gun out and say I'm about to shoot. Yeah, the cops pulled my ID and they know I can carry. But why do I have to do this when all you got to do is take this dog away? He don't need it. They said he's been in court for years over these same 2 dogs. So what is the holdup with this guy? I'm afraid he's going to bite one of these kids. And because nobody around here won't do anything, then who's going to be to blame then?
Well, let me stop you, and I'll have our law director to give you an update, brief or a summary of what's been going on and what we've done, what we can do and what we cannot do. The matter's in the hands of the courts. We can't really tell the court what not to do. John, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm John Wyckoff, the law director, but I also prosecute Mr. Hill, and we've been doing it for over 5 years. He has been found guilty in numerous charges in the past. He then appealed those cases to the Court of Appeals. The sentences were upheld. Unfortunately, at that time, our only ability was to give a fine as a minor misdemeanor. So at my recommendation, council then amended our ordinance to make repeat offenders like Mr. Hill subject to a 4th-degree misdemeanor, which was a bigger fine, but more importantly, up to 30 days in jail. So the last batch of cases we had, which was probably about 2 months ago, we were in front of Judge Rucker. Judge Rucker, the poor man's getting all these cases. He said to me, he said every time he looks at me, he thinks I'm Wade Hill because I'm in there so much, and it's always Wade Hill. But the whole situation got so bad, this last batch, the judge finally had it, and we convicted him on 11 charges. He got a $50 fine on each of the 11, plus court costs, which are $110 each case. But also, the judge gave him 30 days, which is the maximum sentence, suspended 25, so he got 5 days on 11 charges, so he's facing 55 days in jail. Well, of course, Mr. Hill is eligible for public defender, and they filed an appeal, and an appeal of all those cases has been pending now. I think his brief is due sometime around the end of April, and mine's due the end of May. Then it will go to oral argument before the First District Court of Appeals, and then the First District Court of Appeals will take 60, 90 days to make a decision. Meanwhile, all of those cases, the sentences are stayed, meaning they're held in abeyance or stopped until the appeal is over. Well, now, if you're interested in coming to court, April 30th, although it's scheduled to start at 9, we usually don't get Wade Hill's cases going to about 10, 10:30. But we're trying another huge batch of his cases. There's probably 6 right now, with 3 more, including yours, coming up. So we're going to have like 9 or 10 more trials. We go through the same thing. They're intelligent. They're like squirrels. I don't own the dogs. I mean, we've heard it all. We've heard it all. And so I've advised the police that after the last 11 convictions, make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. I need to make sure he says a statement or does something to confirm that he is either the owner, keeper, or harborer of those dogs. So we're prepared to go to trial April 30. But at the city manager's direction last week, he wanted me to work on something that had more bite, because the judge can't do anything more than put him in jail and fine him, and over all these years, it's done nothing. He's still defiant, and to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of it, because I'm the one that has to deal with this guy, and I've had it. So I have now given to council, I think everybody got it as of today, I'm proposing emergency legislation for our next council meeting, which would be the 16th of April. The purpose of that is to allow an amendment in one of our dog code sections that would allow me as the prosecuting attorney to designate his dogs as dangerous dogs. I then would have to send him a letter or have it served personally by the police, since they're there almost every day. That would probably be what we do. And that gives him a chance to make that appeal before our magistrate that, gee, my dogs aren't dangerous. One of the definitions that I'm requesting amendment of is that a dangerous dog is defined as a dog that has more than 3 of these offenses. Obviously, he does, so he'll fall right in to our definition. Once I have that determination by our magistrate will then have the ability to, and even downtown, if any of his cases go downtown, to do a number of things, including requiring insurance coverage on the dogs, proof of registration, but more importantly, because this is such a bad issue, to have the dogs humanely destroyed. And to be honest with you, that's where I'm going. I want these dogs gone, because they're terrorizing the neighborhood, the children, the adults. They're jumping on people's cars, including our cruisers are getting all scratched up. They're threatening the officers. We have the Postal Service that's refusing to deliver mail. It's just a headache, and I'm going to end that headache.
I mean, I'll come down. The other issue is that we went for a walk one Saturday, and I don't know what it is. He does this purposely, and he'll let his garage door up and as soon as he sees us, leave out. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know him. I don't know anybody around there. So as soon as we walk down the street, these 2 dogs come running, and I'm turning around saying, telling the dogs to stand back. Next thing you know, the one jumping on me, and I'm like, okay, is he about to bite me? What's going to happen? Let me get back to the house. Authorities come. Then he start threatening, time out, because my girlfriend, she's like, hey, she's white. So now he want to insult her. He want to call her out her names. Then the reason they took him away this last time is because he stood there and acted like he had a gun in his hand and was pointing like he was going to shoot at us. And the neighbors seen it, and they was like, okay, this is enough. And he's threatened to have somebody come take care of me. I'm not afraid, but he said, hey, I'm going to have somebody come take care of you. And I'm like, quit threatening me like that. Just stop. But and I understand your position and what you have to do, but for somebody that live across the street that don't want to have these issues, that I understand you guys got to go through the court system, going to end up being some problems because you have people already knocking at his door from 2 doors down because of how he's threatening his girlfriend. The dude knocked at his door. Come out. I'm tired of it. You know, and that's what I'm afraid is about to happen. You know, and I understand, I love my coursals, you know, and I understand how some people that can be attached to their animals, and I know this is recorded and that's good, but I hear the things like, hey, you got to have some bullets in that gun, save one for that man. If he's that attached to it, he's coming over there with something. And I don't want to have to do that, you know, and that's why I wish they would end up taking these dogs away sooner than later, because he's home Friday and the dogs are right back out running in the neighborhood, coming over there, harassing all of a sudden. And it's like, I understand that's all they could do right now, but somewhere it's going to be too late, and it's like, it's not going to have to go to court. You know, and that's the sad part. And like I said, I just moved up here, so I didn't know it was an issue like that over there. And now that I'm having it ever since I've been up here, and this is the first time I've been wanting to come up here, but then I'm like, okay, let's go. You know, I want to see if you guys knew about it. It sounds like you do. You know, so hopefully they can get this taken care of. And if I know the dates for sure, I'll show up at court. I'll take off and go down there and say something. That wouldn't bother me at all. I don't care. I just need to make sure my grandkids is not going to get bit.
And it would be important for you to be there because one of the cases is your case.
I'll go.
And the police are supposed to be telling you through a subpoena.
Nobody told me. All they had me do is fill out
Well, it's
something
not
what
till April
happened.
30th. That's probably why you haven't been told. But I'm telling you now, it's Judge Rucker. He's on the second floor of the Hamilton County Common Police Courthouse. You know, don't come any earlier than 10:30 because Judge Rucker has a huge docket.
Yeah, I can pull up weights and it'll show that information. That's how.
The other thing is the gun drawing and all that aggravated menacing case. Those cases are with the Hamilton County prosecutor because it involves a felony. And I heard they're working out a plea agreement. And in fact, I offered his public defender, if you get Wade Hill to put those dogs down and get rid of them, I will ask Judge Rucker to withdraw all the jail time. Because I don't want Hill in jail as much as I want those dogs gone.
Right.
So that, and I believe the Hamilton County prosecutor went to our Sergeant Pat Carr, who called me and had the same question. Could we put that in a plea agreement? Never to have a dog. Nobody in that house would ever be allowed to have a dog, or he would be put back in jail for a long time. But, you know, we're doing everything we can. We can't pick up the dogs with any enforceability because under the code and the fact these are personal property, we can call SPCA, say we have a loose dog. SPCA doesn't do anything.
Nope.
You know, they're too busy. If we pick the dog up, the police, we can take it to SPCA. All Wade Hill has to do is go down and pay $10. He gets his dog back.
Right. Yeah, we know that he did that
Yeah.
before. With
So, I mean, believe me, we're doing everything we can, and now we're taking drastic measures. We didn't think any human being would require us, but this human being is so defiant, and even the judge has said, what is wrong with this man? And his attorney has told me, you know, he was thinking of a capacity hearing or something, but he said, he's too smart and he's wiggling through the system so well. He said, I couldn't prove some sort of incapacity. So that's where we are.
Okay. Well, I'll be down there at court on the 30th.
All right, great.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
make sure I'm there. But thanks a lot. All right.
Aaron, before you leave, I'll give you my card so that if you just want to call me, confirm anything, any questions, please feel free to do so.
Anyone else from the public?
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Michael Means, M-E-A-S.
Mr. Smith, you got anything for the good of the order?
No, sir, not after that.
All right, thank you. You're welcome to stay if you want, but you don't have to if you don't, you want to just stay and listen to us yak, it's up to you. Moving to item number 5, reports of standing committees. First of those standing committees tonight is Public Improvements and Facilities, Councilwoman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report at this time.
Any questions for Councilwoman Moore? Hearing none, Councilwoman Moore, I have no items on the agenda for you for the 9th. Do you have any to add?
No, thank you.
Next report is Public Safety Committee, Councilwoman Nuss.
No, I do not have a report at this time, Mr. Mayor. However, I would like to let council know that we will have an upcoming public safety meeting. The purpose of that meeting will be to discuss Forest Park's position and a community discussion opportunity for families in Forest Park of young brown and black boys. Obviously, we've seen the rash of gun violence perpetrated by officers against boys, allegedly, however you'd like to say that. But nevertheless, a lot of members in this community are concerned about it. I, for one, as a parent of a little boy, it hits very close to home. So we'll have a time to have some community discussion about that and talk about safety and safety as it pertains to making sure we are keeping our kids safe and they know what to do and what they should not do. We have a great police force. This is in no way in a response to lack of integrity or safety on our police force, because our public servants are doing a fantastic job. We just want to make sure that we are making sure that we hear the beat of what's going on and being as proactive as possible. So we're looking at April 18th for that meeting.
Any questions for Councilwoman Nuss?
Are you sure that was 18 or 19?
18th.
I thought the public,
April 18th, Wednesday, April 18th.
okay, I thought the thing said the 19th.
Yes,
It's the 19th.
19, 5 p.m.
Is it the 18th or is it the 19th?
The 19th.
The 19th, okay.
It is the 19th,
Okay, could I get?
Thursday. Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Councilwoman Nuss, I have no items on the agenda for you for the meeting on the 9th. Do you have any to add?
I do not, sir.
Next item on the agenda, Ways and Means, Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it was 2 or 4 weeks ago, I reported on these opportunity zone opportunities. That was a federal grant that flows through the state and the county, and that we had applied for this, and we're happy to report that it appears that the census tract covering Northland Boulevard Business District will be nominated for the designation to the U.S. Treasury. And if so approved, it would give us the opportunity to help revitalize several properties along that corridor, including the tower, the 2 retail malls there, and also our city-owned property there. The second thing I wanted to provide an update on is the tree removal pilot program we were doing this year. 102 households registered for a free tree assessment in January. 42 households have signed contracts. Only 9, however, have had their trees removed, and that's due to the wet weather. But I want our residents to know that if you have signed up for that, the contractor is going to give priority to those residents when the weather dries up and they can get their heavy equipment back in there to remove these trees. The other thing that we have is the attic insulation and air sealing program. This year, 34 homes have had their attics winterized, and the Environmental Awareness Program provides a 50% subsidy up to a maximum of $1,000 to help residents with those kinds of improvement projects. The other thing I wanted to make a note of is if you had a chance to look through the departmental reports, you will see a huge change in fund balance in the fire fund. And I checked on that because I was fairly certain I knew what was to account for that. And that is that we had budgeted for a fire ladder to come out of a ladder truck to come out of that. When we had planned on the tax levy passage. That was included in those plans, and that money has been transferred to the capital account to pay for that. So if you had questions about that wild change, I wanted to let you know that was what was causing that. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Herbie? Hearing none, Councilwoman Herbie, there are no items for you. Do you have any to add?
No, sir.
Next item is Community Development, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report. However, I would answer any questions if there are any.
Questions for Mr. Barnes? Hearing none, Mr. Barnes, there's one item for you, Development Risk Analysis. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
Next committee report is Law Committee, Councilwoman Collins.
Yes, I received a letter to me from Councilwoman Moore dated March 28th, 2018, and it reads as follows. It says, "Good afternoon. Please note the P&R Commission does not budget programming based on girls versus boys. We budget based on programs. For example, if we have a budget of $8,000 for a basketball, soccer program, it's open to both boys, girls, and sometimes co-ed teams. We field our teams based on youth signups. I'm deeply concerned anyone would make this a boy versus girls issue and how money spent on one versus the other, as that is not the issue. Now, our first question is, should be, why aren't young ladies involved in sports anymore, and how can we provide alternative programs with limited space if they don't want to play sports? The second question is, how do we get women in our community to provide their time, resources to plan and implement more alternative programs? We are in the infancy stages of building and starting the season of our Forest Park basketball softball program. In the past, the program was run by a nonprofit organization, and P&R Parks and Recreation has officially taken it over. In my opinion, this report requested by Councilwoman Collins took up valuable resources with no need for urgency and purpose at this time, as Park and Recreation was preparing for a coaches meeting, finalizing rosters, league meetings, and requirement to jumpstart this program. This lack of consideration, insensitivity, is a pattern and can no longer be an acceptable practice. It goes on to say, our youth programs are open to boys and girls. If anyone is interested in starting programs in our community, they are welcome to do so. If anyone wants to start a program, they may come to our Park and Recreation meeting held on the first Wednesday of each month. Here is the process. Contact the recreation coordinator to add your name and program idea to the agenda. Also, please provide an overview of your program: idea, cost, space, location, dates, times, and target age group. Also, if anyone wants to volunteer, come out and volunteer. If there are programs you want to implement, make them happen. I was team mom and coached girls softball, girls basketball, and girls soccer for 12 years in Forest Park. I co-charted a Girl Scout troop national recognized for service in our community at Winton Forest Elementary for the same 12 years, all while employed full-time, serving in the military, and working on my master's. So with that being said, as a resident in the city of Forest Park, I have zero tolerance for negativity, abuse of power, resources, and limited contributions to our community. The youth are the fiber of our community, as they represent the largest percentage of our population. We need more programs. We need active on-hand volunteers and community support to implement those programs. If you aren't part of the solution, you are part of the problem. In the future, as the Park and Recreation Liaison, I suggest if anyone has questions or concerns to please contact me so that I may present that information to Park and Recreation Commission, or you may attend a Park and Recreation meeting held the first Wednesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. This council should not allow its members to use our youth for opportunistic or personal agendas. FYI, we need more players to field our baseball, softball teams. No girls signed up this season. So help us spread the word to residents in the community to get them signed up next year. If anyone has any creative, evidence-based, fun, interactive activities and programs, let P&R know. Best, Rosalind Moore. My response to this letter is that about 3 weeks ago or so, a group of us council people attended over at the Women's Center their grand opening. And what happened prior to that is that Forest Park 45240 as well as 45231 has been identified by Planned Parenthood as having the highest abortion rates in Hamilton County, those two zip codes. It was also identified to me through the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, which is also attempting to do whatever they can to address the issue. And I volunteered to assist the Women's Center in any way that I can be helpful with additional time that I have. What we discussed was possibly what could I do personally to further serve that organization and really the females from 1 through 18, basically, in Forest Park. And I realized that having attended an all-women's college, Mount Holyoke College, one of the 7 sister Ivy League colleges, that I have at my disposal the ability to apply for a scholarship for myself in order to provide programming for students or that age group this summer, perhaps. Now, when I contacted Mount Holyoke College, I contacted them with ideas somewhat based on what Councilwoman Nuss is doing on her own and through her corporation, with which it's a Black Girls STEM Conference. And I explained that. Having done that, what we discussed was that maybe I would want to mimic that programming this summer, or work in conjunction with her this summer to provide programming not just for African American females, but for females, period, 18 on down, or whatever age appropriate programming we could provide for them, and have Mount Holyoke College, as well as other contacts that I know who provide money for such things, to co-underwrite it with them. And part of their application process, they asked me to identify the group that I want to serve, identify the issue. My issue would be I would quote what the abortion rate, along with how much programming.
Excuse me. I understand, what you're saying, but we're trying to get through the report. I would suggest that this might be something that is better discussed with the liaison to Parks and Recs and at a Parks and Rec meeting. Her responsibility is to carry that to them. They make decisions based on programming and what they do. She doesn't have the authority to do that. So my suggestion to you would be to ask to be placed on their agenda for their next meeting to explain what you're trying to do from a program standpoint, and not in this is not the appropriate forum to do that. For number one, they aren't here, and they aren't hearing this. They are the ones who need to hear this.
Okay, we are televised right now, and it's on Waycross.
I understand that, but still, this is for reports from council members on standing committees. What you're doing is you're talking about passing some information on to a subcommittee, which is Parks and Rec, that it's not represented here by them, and she doesn't have the authority to say yay or nay to anything. The only thing that she would do is to relate to them what you had said, but what I'm suggesting to you, you would be better served and they would be better served to hear it from you, and not being passed through somebody else. And the fact that these meetings are televised, if you want that medium to carry that message, then I would further suggest that you contact Waycross, because they're the ones who are always looking for programming and information to put on the air. And then you would have that whole time dedicated to you and what program you're trying to put forward, rather than trying to put it forward now in this narrow space of time that we have.
Mr. Mayor, in a few seconds, you are going to make a motion to provide general direction to limit the use of city vehicles, staff assignments, and research time by individual council persons. The letter written to me from Ms. Moore addresses that in 3 different places where it says, I'm attempting to pit boys versus girls in the dollars that they receive. The research that I asked for specifically was so that I could put together a proposal to get dollars for money to implement a program. It was not in any way, shape, fashion, or form a waste of city time and abuse of power and several other things that she says can't be tolerated. So inasmuch as this letter came out.
The letter, I think it was an email,
Right.
and it was copied to all of us. So we all had that already, but again, this issue is not an issue that we need to be talking about now, because we aren't we haven't gotten anything from Parks and Rec about this. We may or may not ever get anything from Parks and Rec about this, but if we are to get something from Parks and Rec about this, about the program and project that you want to put forward, it would be to your benefit to go to them and make your presentation there, where it will have some opportunity for something to get done.
I read this letter in this open forum because my explanation of what I was trying to do with my programming directly explains why I was asking for the research and in a timely manner to begin with. I'm not really addressing Councilwoman
She's
Moore.
the one who wrote the letter to you, and if you started off by saying you wanted to read the letter that she sent to you. We didn't send that letter to you. She sent the letter to you. I'm not going to continue this debate.
But we're
going
going
to move on.
We're going to move on to where
We're going to move the
Make a
agenda.
motion.
We're going to move the agenda, and when we get to that item on the agenda, if you have, you'll have the same opportunity as everybody else. When the question is called, you'll have an opportunity. Moving on to there's an item on the agenda for a work session for a law committee for the next work session. That item is liquor license request / Hamro Restaurant Limited. Do you have any other items to add?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Move on to the next committee would be Human Resources Committee, Councilwoman Holt.
I do not have a report tonight, thank you.
Councilwoman Holt, I have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
Next report is Intergovernmental Relations and Communications. That's my committee. I have no report. I will answer any questions if there are any. Hearing none, we'll now move to item number 6, the mayor's report. I will report that I attended 2 events. The one event that I attended would have been the open house for Hall Jordans, and also an open house for a new church on Southland Boulevard across from the Old Word of Deliverance Church. That church is called Grace Church. It is one of the newer churches in Forest Park. It is basically peopled at this point by people who are native to the Congo area in Africa, and to my knowledge, it is the first church of its type in the city of Forest Park, and I brought them welcome from the city of Forest Park. That will end my report. I'll answer any questions if there are any. Hearing none, we will go to item number 7, the city manager's report. Mr. Hodges.
Thank you. I'll report 3 things. First, we are in the process of advertising and selecting a Parks and Recreation coordinator. Taffy has worked with us for several years. She's done a great job, but she's going to be moving on to other things, and we're going to wish her well, but we'll have to make that replacement. We'll keep you up to date on where we are on that. I'll also report that the departmental reports have all been completed. They've been included in the council packet. They've also been placed on file with the clerk of council for public inspection. Finally, I'll report that we're in the process of producing the next progress newsletter. We anticipate that we're going to have it completed by the end of this week. And at that point, we will distribute it. So we've sent notice out to the various staff that if anybody has any information that they particularly need to have in there, to let us have that information by noon on Wednesday. That would conclude my report, but I would respond to any questions if there are any.
Any questions for the city manager?
I just wanted to remind him to address in the Progress newsletter the issue about the timing of possibly of the Norborn as well as the West Kemper construction.
Any other questions for the city manager? Hearing none, we'll move to item number 8, other reports. The first of those being the law director, Mr. Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In addition to issues involving Mr. Hill and his dogs, I also responded to a public records request out of the police department and provided an opinion regarding city liability, which was none, for placement of a fire hydrant. Other than that, I have nothing else to report. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Any questions for the city manager? I'm sorry, to the law director. I'm still on you, right? Hearing none, thank you, sir. Next.
New title, that's all.
Next report is Clerk of Council, Mrs. Dirksen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report that resolution numbers 07-2018 and 08-2018 and ordinance numbers 02-2018 and 03-2018 were posted as required. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Clerk of Council? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Dirksen. We now move to item number 9, new business. Is there a motion? Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I would move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read by title only ordinances number 04-2018 through 06-2018.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read by title only ordinances number 04-2018 through 06-2018. Is there any discussion?
Only that they were posted as required.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the motion to suspend?
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
No.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss.
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules passes 6-0. 6 to 1, sorry. So, next item on the agenda is item A, ordinance number 04-2018. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 04-2018, enacting a revised Chapter 152 Building Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Forest Park, Ohio, to revise Chapter 152 Building Code to adopt the 2017 Ohio Building Code while retaining the 2013 Residential Code for Ohio without conflicting changes to those codes in accordance with the Ohio law.
Is there a motion? This is first reading, all three are first readings, I believe. Next item on the agenda is item B, ordinance number 05-2018. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 05-2018, enacting revisions to Chapter 154 Miscellaneous Land Use Regulations to the codified ordinances of the City of Forest Park, Ohio, to make minor corrections to the General Administration Sections 01, 04, 07, and major changes to Subchapter E, Supplemental Building and Site Requirements, consisting of requirements deleted from Chapter 152 Building Code, which requirements were removed from the Building Code so as to allow the adoption and enforcement of the Ohio Building Code and the Residential Code of Ohio without conflicting changes to those codes in accordance with Ohio laws to accommodate recent revisions to Ohio codes.
Thank you. Next item is item C. Item B is also a first reading. Item C, ordinance number 06-2018. Would the clerk please read this ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 06-2018, enacting revisions to Section 09 building permit inspection and plan review fees with minor coordinating revisions to Section 3 of Chapter 156 comprehensive fee schedule of the codified ordinances of the City of Forest Park to update building department fees.
Thank you. Item C is also a first reading. These three items will be on the agenda for the next meeting for a vote. Next item on the agenda is a motion. Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I would move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full and read by title only resolution number 09-2018. This was also posted as required.
Second.
Been moved and second that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full and read by title only resolution number 09-2018. Is there a discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Burns. Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the on the motion to suspend the rules?
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules passes 7-0. Item D, resolution number 09-2018. Would the clerk please read this resolution by title only?
Resolution number 09-2018, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with John R. Jurgensen Company for asphalt road repairs of Kemper Meadow Drive and Norborn Drive as specified in the bidding documents.
Is there a motion? Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move for the passage of resolution number 09-2018.
Second.
Been moved and second that we adopt resolution 09-2018. Is there a discussion? Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we're aware, the Kemper Meadow Drive has received heavy damage due to the weather conditions of this winter. Our motorists and residents have reported the problem with potholes, and staff has responded quickly to fill those potholes. The occurrence is rather extensive with the type of potholes along with the underlying causes. As a result, staff is recommending that we fund resurfacing of that strip of land along Kemper Meadow and Norborn to the cost of approximately $106,000. This was an unplanned budgeted item, and the budgets have been reappropriated to accommodate this work. There were several bids. However, the Jurgens Company did outbid or win that proposal. And with that, I would urge the passage of resolution number 9-2018.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll on the resolution?
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Resolution 09-2018 passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item E. At this point, I would relinquish the chair and ask Mr. Burns to conduct item E.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a motion for item E. Mr. Mayor?
Yes. I would move that council adopt as part of its own rules of conduct this three-part guideline that one, each council member be responsible for providing his or her own transportation and conducting routine city-related business or public business of interest not otherwise required or requested by a majority of council. Number two, staff assignments, particularly extensive research and formal reports, shall be directed only by a majority of council through the city manager. Number three, staff be directed to acknowledge these general guidelines and respond to any request by individual council members accordingly.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that the motion be approved.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I don't see where you're reading from.
I'm making a motion.
This is a simple motion.
It's a motion.
It doesn't require anybody to have a reading.
Okay, no, I just so that
The clerk would repeat the motion after it is.
Yeah, I can.
Go ahead.
So your concern is that you don't have the paper, or would you like the clerk to read the motion?
That and I plan to make a objection. Well, Mr.
This is, I'm running the meeting. This is not for you to talk to them. Just tell me what you need so we can move it on. It's okay.
What I need is a direction from the law director telling me what the equivalent in the courtroom, we would say an objection on the basis of that the
There's a motion.
motion to provide general direction and limit the use of, those terms of this motion have not been defined. And I believe that it is, as stated, it is overly, it's not defined, it's
So-
vague and overly broad, but I need his direction to me as our legal counsel to tell me in this forum what is the proper procedure for my objections.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, and we're opening that motion for debate. So that motion's been stated, and your question is with regard to procedural.
Correct.
Okay. So is there any process that,
Motions being made under the Roberts Rules of Order. You, as a political body, determine whether it's vague and overbroad. If you believe it is, but the majority believes it isn't, then it isn't, because it's your body that's making that decision. But this is just a motion. It's not a resolution. It's not an ordinance. It's an oral motion that's been made, and it's on the table. You know, that's been seconded, I believe.
Yes, that motion-
So now it's ready for discussion.
right? So you have your question answered. Is there any other item?
Yes, I do. I do have another question for him.
Okay.
You say the motion is on the floor. If we have not been provided with exactly how the motion reads, if I do not have that, I'm not sure that any of us, does anyone else have it?
So there is no requirement for a verbal motion to be provided in writing. If you would like that, the clerk can provide that after the motion has been voted.
Okay. It just seems counterintuitive to me that we are about to possibly pass a motion that we have not seen what the motion contains, or we don't have any elements, certainly no defined terms that are contained within the motion. We don't
So,
have the
Councilwoman, the issue on the table is not for the law director to address. As he explained, this is a issue that is related to this body, and I would ask that you address this body so that everyone can understand and ascertain your issue.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes.
Could I request that the motion be repeated again, slowly, and take notes?
Would the clerk please repeat the motion if she has it?
Yeah, this is the motion, Sally. This motion in 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
The motion is that council adopt as part of its own rules of conduct this 3-part guideline that, number 1, each council member be responsible for providing his or her own transportation in conducting routine city-related business or public business of interest not otherwise required or requested by a majority of council. Number 2, staff assignments, particularly extensive research and formal reports, shall be directed only by a majority of council through the city manager. Number 3, Staff be directed to acknowledge these general guidelines and respond to any requests by individual council members accordingly.
And the motion's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Yes, as maker of the motion, I would like to, I would just like to say that, the need has arisen for us to formally clarify our desire to set rules of conduct for ourselves, to include limiting the use of the amount of research and related staff assignments, and to outlining and directing the use of city vehicles or non-use of city vehicles by council members. This would be in addition to the things that we already do under council rules. And furthermore, it is to explain that we as council members are to rely on our salary or stipend to cover the cost of conducting our assigned or perceived council-related duties, including transportation, registration for conferences or training. It affirms our desire not to rely on the use of city vehicles to carry out our routine council-related duties or interests. It affirms our desire not to burden staff with individual tasks and assignments not otherwise directed or desired by a majority of council. Finally, it affirms our expectation of how staff should respond to such routine requests.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
I think I may have one. Just briefly, I don't quite have any challenges with the city vehicle portion, but when it comes to the clarification for staff assignments, would that be broad? Would it be if I am needing information about something? I don't even know what that would be, whatever department, that I have to have that essentially almost voted upon or agreed by the majority of council to even make that request?
No. What we have said, and what this relates to, is if you are requesting research, something that requires research to be done, extensive research, then that needs to go through the city manager to staff, because day to day, we have no idea what they're already involved in, what their duties are, what they're working on. So if you're requesting something that is going to require, just to give you an example, if I want to know, and if I want, say, the finance department to give me a history of the number of taxpayers, not by name even, the number of taxpayers per year, the amount that was paid over a period of, say, 6-7 years. That's going to require extensive research on somebody's part, number one. And number two, if I am requesting some information that does not pertain to what I as a council member or what the council as a whole is doing, it's just information that I think I would like to have. And that's research that I want somebody to do for me. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. We are talking about if, for an example, you're going to have, you're looking to have a meeting, upcoming public safety meeting. If in preparing for that meeting, it's business as usual. If you need something to be done, you ask Sally. Sally does it for you. You need the agendas made for that meeting. That's going to be done. This does not change that. This only relates to those kind of things that people have to spend an inordinate amount of time, unusually amount of time to get done, because they don't have all of that time to be doing stuff for us that we can do for ourselves in a lot of instances. You can go on to the website, and most of the information that has been requested here is information that could have been pulled up. That answer?
That answers my
Okay.
question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Yes, I'd like to make a statement. I was elected in November of 2015 by the residents of Forest Park as a councilwoman to identify, develop, and implement policy for the city of Forest Park. There are certain elements of doing that that I necessarily would have to contact staff and get information, going through the city manager to get information regarding. For example, one of them was what I was mentioning earlier on my quest to attempt to acquire programming. I needed to know just how many, how served and or underserved the females from 18 on down are in Forest Park. That's not information I could derive from going on the website. And whereas I'm submitting this in a proposal to another party who's going to rely on it, I didn't want to make sure my information was close. I wanted to make sure my information was correct. So I went to the city manager for that information, and I needed it timely because they were expecting it somewhat timely. Now, having said that, this body, even if 6 of us agree and 1 of us does not agree, cannot do anything. They cannot legislate away my ability to perform my function as an elected official. The 6 of you could not agree that I should be limited by use of transportation, which as long as what I am using the transportation for is city business, I am reimbursable by the city for that. That's even if I did have my own car and chose to park my car but ask for an available vehicle that the city has. I still have a right to do that, and that is still reimbursable by the city. Secondly, we cannot legislate away one another's ability to perform our tasks that we were elected to perform as an elected official. It can't happen. It won't stand. And all it will do is basically waste the court's time, because that's where it would be headed. And there's already case law that says that you cannot legislate or impede a council person's ability to perform their tasks on behalf of the city. It just can't be done. I just want to say that, and whatever your vote or collective vote is, it will be subject to scrutiny by the courts.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Can I just ask, are you speaking as an attorney or as a layperson, or what?
I'm speaking firstly as a citizen, second as an elected official whose ability to perform her elected task of identifying, developing, and implementing policy along with the rest of this council. It will be it may be hampered by reducing, I guess, the amount of time. I'm not even sure exactly what this motion is saying, other than, because there's no specifics. It's not saying how much of my time might be, or how
Councilwoman Collins,
limited.
I think the question that was you asked was answered,
Okay,
right? I just want to
Good.
keep things moving.
Good.
I mean, it was a specific
Good.
question. So, are there any other comments or questions? Thank you. Hearing none, I think this is a voice vote. All in favor of this motion as stated, indicate by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I oppose.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. And I'll relinquish the chair back to the mayor.
Next item on the agenda is item F. Councilwoman Holt.
I make a motion to convene to an executive session to discuss personnel matters about the recruitment of the new city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we have convened into executive session to discuss personnel matters / review recruitment schedule for the new city manager. Is there any discussion?
Okay, this is just a continuation of an earlier discussion related to the recruitment of the next city manager. At the March 5th, 2018 council meeting, council discussed this issue in executive session without taking an official action. Staff was asked to continue identifying a list of outside consultants that are more local or at least regional within a 50-mile radius and who can provide a service within a cost range of approximately $15,000. So the Human Resource Director did some further research and issued an updated matrix and memory outlining his findings prior to the March 19th council meeting. With that, we will convene to the...
Any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll on the motion to convene into executive session?
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Nuss,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Kirby.
Yes.
The motion to convene into executive session passes 7-0. At this time, we're going to go into executive session where no official action will be taken. When we come back out, we will resume the regular meeting before adjourning. All right, we're in executive session.